Now, many will argue that vaccines are safe and effective, and that the fears of parents out there are completely unfounded.
Vaccines are one of the safest tools we have to prevent disease.
We're not able to give clear-cut answers when people ask questions about the deaths that have occurred due to a particular vaccine, and this always gets blown up in the media. In most cases, there's some obfuscation at that level, and therefore there's less and less trust then in the system.
Sorry, but I'm not interested in forced government-mandated medical treatments for myself or for my children, for that matter. They can take their big brother government vaccines and shove them where the sun don't shine. Why is it so controversial to not want government-mandated medical treatment?
Mayor Bill de Blasio declared a public health emergency following an outbreak in Brooklyn. The city is mandating vaccinations for adults and children exposed to the virus.
It's one thing for government to provide medical services, and it's another thing for government to mandate medical services. And who wants that?
Lawmakers in California have made major changes to a vaccine bill known as Senate Bill 276.
Starting in 2021, it's going to get a lot harder to get a vaccination exemption, and kids without them have to either get vaccinated or they can't attend school.
Governor Cuomo is eliminating religious exemptions for vaccines for school children.
Back in April, the city issued an emergency order requiring everyone attending these schools to have vaccinations for measles, mumps, and rubella.
It's not like there isn't some corrupt relationship between Big Pharma, the media, and our government. We joke about it, but what about all those disclaimers in drug ads we see on TV?
If you have a stomach ulcer or other condition that causes bleeding,
such as bleeding and ulcers, which can occur without warning and may cause death.
Serious side effects in the liver, or some people can have allergic or serious skin reactions.
Call your doctor right away if you have severe pain in your stomach area.
Have an increased risk of death or stroke.
To avoid long-term injury, seek immediate medical help.
Some of which can be life-threatening.
You may be at increased risk of heart attack and stroke.
Gee, you don't think drugs are being pushed unnecessarily and that we have an over-medicated society? You don't think there's financial interests behind all these drugs, do you? Not to mention that most of the U.S.'s pharmaceutical production is now outsourced to China.
80% of the key ingredients used to make them come from overseas, mainly from China.
Not that there could be any foreseeable problems with that, right?
If those are either toxic or they're not available, we're going to get sick and we will die.
How about all those drug recalls?
The FDA says a drug often prescribed to diabetes patients is being investigated for traces of a probable carcinogen after it was recalled abroad.
And what happened was there was a company in China that makes the active ingredient for these drugs.
Most of this can be traced back to plants in China.
Over and over again for the past several years, most food brands aimed at children are heavily tainted by heavy metals and other poisonous chemicals.
A new study shows that there's lead, arsenic, and other dangers that could be hiding in some popular baby food products. In fact, of the 168 foods from major manufacturers, 95% contained lead, 73% contained arsenic, 75% contained cadmium, and 32% contained mercury.
So why is it any surprise that most parents are skeptical of this?
Vaccines are one of the safest tools we have to prevent disease and ensure a healthy future for all children.
Especially when many of us know other parents who have gone through this.
At 2 months, and she was vaccinated, and she had a terrible reaction. We spent 3 weeks in ICU, and we almost lost her. She ended up having a brain infection and a blood infection.
Within 2 weeks of the MMR injection, he had such a profound change of his personality.
Language loss. His speech really dropped off.
Seriously, why is it that all of a sudden being skeptical of big pharma and big government pushing vaccines at ages previously not recommended at quantities ever increasing is somehow wrong?
My grandson was a normal child, and 2 days after, he got 9 shots in one day, several of which contained thimerosal, mercury, 40 sometimes the amount that was tolerable in an adult. he started acting exactly like this child. And this is what parents are going through all across this country, and they have no recourse.
But if I have reservation as to whether or not I want to take the risk that comes along with a medical treatment, in this case vaccines, all of a sudden I'm a tinfoil hat wearing anti-vaxxer. They list all the possible reactions and side effects, and let me tell you, some of them are very serious and life-changing, including death. So why should parents and why should people in general not have that right to make that choice for their body or the body of their children? So you can choose to abort your child in California, but you can't choose whether or not to vaccinate your child? What the doctors and government are pushing and starting to force is more than just vaccines. It's a mandated schedule that you have to follow precisely and in sync with the herd, or some won't perform the vaccines, which can cause problems with school requirements.
If we have to exclude students, which we will if we have to, the method with that is that we do send a hand-certified letter.
Pediatrician Nancy Whittam encourages parents to stick with the program.
The menu of the immunizations that we have are the ones that we've chosen is because we know that those diseases have particular problems.
Some parents are shot limiters who don't like their child getting several shots in one visit or fear an adverse reaction from a group of shots.
Some of the people get shuffled off to vaccine court. And many times they actually don't get anything out of vaccine court. But given the fact that vaccine court exists, and the fact that there have been settlements in which the government has paid out to vaccine-injured families, we can all acknowledge that there is a risk for vaccine injury. Oftentimes, dogs and pets are overdosed when it comes to vaccines.
There are thousands of pets dying out there every day. While we sat at this table, 5-6 pets died in the United States from a rabies vaccine they didn't need.
You're giving these little tiny dogs, the miniature dogs that are like 6 pounds, 5 pounds, the same vaccination dose that you're giving these giant dogs that are 110 pounds or more. Oh wait, it's okay to acknowledge the hazards of vaccines with pets, but not with children? We don't think twice about giving little tiny babies that weigh under 10 pounds the same dose of vaccine that we give a fully grown adult? But if that isn't enough, how about this?
We cannot overemphasize the fact that we really don't have very good safety monitoring systems in many countries, and this adds to the miscommunication and the misapprehensions because we're not able to give clear-cut answers when people ask questions about the deaths that have occurred due to particular vaccine and the deaths that have occurred due to particular vaccine.
Notice this clip where they use this young girl that was born with a heart defect as the reason why everyone should just be forced to be vaccinated.
And while most children are protected from illnesses like measles and whooping cough because they're vaccinated, Brooke is always at risk. The only thing keeping her safe from diseases like measles is herd immunity.
So I, working with my colleague, Senator Allen, authored a bill to eliminate the non-medical exemptions.
There are certain people with genetic predispositions to bad reactions from vaccines. These vaccination reactions can be just as bad, if not worse, than the reaction that this immunocompromised girl would have if she came into contact with a virus. Well, what about all these poor boys and girls who are now brain damaged out there? What about all these poor boys and girls who received the Gardasil vaccine and they're now paraplegics or they've died? What about all the babies who died after vaccinations, the newborn babies? So we're just supposed to all sacrifice our children to what ifs?
The deaths that have occurred due to particular vaccine.
Remember, I'm listener supported, so please go to InfoWarsStore.com to support my work. Take advantage of some of the great deals and the great products we have available so you can both help take care of your own health and help us fight the info war. You can also go to Millie Weaver on Subscribestar to support me directly if you choose to. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to give you my next video.
Here are the facts. Iodine raises IQ and across the board makes you more healthy in thousands of top studies, including the American medical journal. Every type of fluoride lowers IQ, massively increases cancer, and destroys fertility. That's the facts. Learn about the iodine conspiracy. And then once you've learned about it, protect yourself and your family. The reason I'm so hot on this is the globalists put the fluoride in the water while making sure we don't get the iodine. In China, they put the iodine in the water and ban the fluoride because they've already got their people under their control. The globalists are targeting us here. Please go to InfoWarsStore.com, experience iodine and BioTrue selenium that goes with it together. And then once you see the great results, warn others. This is the Achilles heel of the globalist. It's a win-win situation. The only way you lose is not taking action. Take action now.